Disclaimer: this video is not meant to target nor harass the game or anyone I have said in this video. I do not condone with such behavior and it makes situations worse. This video is also not to spread hatred to the games, but rather to spread attention and bring awareness. Thank you. So, originally, I had a different script for this video. However, after my poll from not too long ago, I could safely say the results were shocking to me. And after a bit of digging, I can definitely see why. This is part 2 of experienced players versus unexperienced players. Now diving into not only Wings of Fire, but Warrior Cats as well. Let's get started. Now, to start off with the poll, most of you guys have answered Wings of Fire as the one that needs more experience requirements in roleplays than Warrior Cats. And it's safe to say, yeah, I see it. Cause during my time in Wings of Fire, I've seen it more and more than what I've had for Warrior Cats. Now, trust me, there's a lot of roleplays that still involve Warrior Cats having more experienced players, but we'll get to that later. So, for those who don't play Wings of Fire Beta or Warrior Cats or don't even do any roleplays, experience and unexperienced is something that's often used to describe two types of players in roleplay games. Experience, those who know more, and unexperienced, those who know less. But what's the issue with using those two labels in players with roleplay games? Well, you don't need a microscope to look down and see the problem. Roleplays are fun and easygoing. It's not like acting out Hollywood top-notch films that have to be so professional and so perfect. No, it's just fun and it flows naturally, even when you have no idea what you're doing in the first place. So, roleplays are inclusive to everyone, right? Right? No, not exactly. This is where the experienced and unexperienced labels come to play in WOF Beta, and like I said with the poll, this is definitely one of the examples of why you guys probably have voted for this in the first place. When people say experience, they see an amazing OC with an interesting bio, so they get checked off. However, unexperienced are more default-skinned, lacking of interesting bios, and can be annoying. To give a demonstration of how this plays out, I'll give an example in more detail of the first time I got rejected from a roleplay on my first day of WOF Beta. It was on the exact day when WOF Beta became free to the public. My OC wasn't a default, but it wasn't like how Shadow the Nightwing looked compared to now. So when I joined, I didn't know roleplays were a thing and I decided to join since it looked fun. So I approached a Sandwing that had a decent looking OC, and I said that I was new and asked what roleplay it is. You know, the usual questions. And so he explained that it was a washout roleplay and explained it pretty well. It sounded cool, so I confirmed that I wanted to join. However, this is where it went south because even though the Sandwing explained the roleplay, he turned me out and said this was for experienced roleplays only. And although I was told that it was only for experienced roleplayers, I called it BS and I said that the roleplays are for everyone. And yet he turned me down, and even the players who are waiting for the roleplays to start demanded that I leave, so I had no choice and it made me feel disappointed. You can obviously see the damage that this does to who are new players or unexperienced because not only is it heartbreaking for kids, but it also makes them not feel welcome. Fortunately, I kept trying to join better roleplays and met amazing people, but for those who aren't so lucky, it can have negative effects and make them hesitate on asking anything. A lot of people are shy, and I can relate, as I'm a really shy person and I don't speak much. Another problem that I like to bring up when it comes to roleplays wanting more experienced people than unexperienced, oftentimes whenever you're waiting, it can take a long time, even 2 hours, as that's what I had to go through because this person kept turning down so many people who had very interesting bios, and some people even looked experienced themselves, and yet was turned down, and we had to wait an entire 2 hours, only for that roleplay to go nowhere because this person thought we were too unexperienced. This is ridiculous. Not only that, it comes to, again, with the judgment of people's characters, as some people will mostly turn down a lot of people's characters to have too many colors, too many bland colors, too much bio information, too little bio information. It's kind of a more expectational thing when it comes to experienced roleplays. This is why people say don't judge a book by its cover, because Literally for me, I've been turned down multiple times even though I've joined so many roleplays, but this is kind of why I stopped, because of how much experienced players try to turn down unexperienced players, and especially assume that many who are experienced are unexperienced. Now, although WOF Beta does have its most votes, I do have to turn back into Warrior Cats, as they're not the only ones that are innocent in this scenario when it comes to experienced and unexperienced roleplays. So here is the next category for Warrior Cats. Now, for me, the reason why this poll was such a shock is because Warrior Cats is a very popular book series dating all the way back to 2002. So it's pretty popular because of its long-running time, right? Well, just because it's popular for the books does not mean the community is friendly, as it kind of follows the same situation with WOF Beta, having more experienced players than unexperienced requirements to join a roleplay. During my time on Warrior Cats, many players can agree that most of the roleplays require experienced players. Understandable because of how the clans work in the books, but is it still good to leave out unexperienced players because of that? Absolutely not. Same history repeats with my WOF Beta story when I first joined a roleplay, being that I was rejected on my first day. Well, it happened with Warrior Cats as well. Asking the host sees me and turns me down. Even asking who's the most popular villain in Warriors to see if I'm experienced. Who does that? And just a note, I never read the books entirely except the graphic novels, example Winds of Change. So not only did I have to read the first arc, I also had to read into clans so I can have a better knowledge of what roles does what in the books. Although, don't get me wrong, I don't regret reading the books. Trust me, I love the cats and I'm all for Mothwing, Brightheart, and Jayfeather, my three most favorite cats. I love them. But I don't like how Warrior Cats is more excluding of unexperienced players, making them feel pressured into reading the books just to join a roleplay. In my opinion, it's kind of a time waster if you ask me, unless you're a little squeaker that wants to read about murderous cats. Just a side note here as well, even if I'm not in roleplay, a lot of people still exclude me, even when they're during roleplay, cause this is when I had to put the I'm not in roleplay thing on my bio, because even when I'm not roleplaying, a lot of people will still be toxic and act like I'm in a roleplay, and then dodge on me if I don't interact or don't know much about it. So that's just my experience. I don't know if anyone else has ever experienced that, but Warrior Cats, you need to calm yourself a bit. So, what does experienced and unexperienced players mean to me? Well, absolutely nothing. Although we may turn them down for not knowing much, the two sides aren't so different. The experienced, like it or not, were once unexperienced before being taught or guided on how to do things in order to become experienced. It's not that hard to understand. So please, teach them and guide them instead of turning them down. It will make a difference to anyone or even the community. Remember, this book series isn't just for us, it's for little kids too. So here's a challenge for you. Host a roleplay for experienced and unexperienced players, and guide them while having fun. The roleplay doesn't have to be perfect, that's what makes a roleplay a roleplay. And if a player comes up to you asking for help, help them. Explain how to play the game and how to roleplay, what roleplays there are, and just how to have fun. Because when you help a community, you're helping everyone stay positive. I'm Illumi, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Editor Illumi here. I'm sorry if I sound really icky. I got really sick on last Saturday, so I'm still recovering. And my computer needs to be fixed, so it's gonna get fixed this week, so I will be inactive for who knows how long. But I promise I will be back to my original schedule once this computer is fixed. I'll see you all later. Bye.